Hey, fifth graders, author's purpose day 4. Let's look at our learning targets. You will learn strategies for analyzing questions and finding answers, clues, and evidence. You will evaluate author's purpose and identify evidence in a text that indicates purpose. You will answer text-dependent author's purpose questions and use academic vocabulary to discuss strategies. Let's review author's purpose. The author's purpose is the author's reason for writing a particular text. Now remember, we talked about 3 different reasons, and I moved them around for this. The author's purpose may be to persuade, to inform, or to entertain. Clues to an author's purpose include content, word choice, style, and illustrations. One of the things we also saw yesterday was just like punctuation, the overuse of the exclamation mark. And then finally, recognizing an author's purpose helps readers understand why the author did what he or she did in a text. Remember, when we look at author's purpose, we think about things being as easy as pie. Persuade, inform, entertain. Persuade, the author tries to get you to do something or believe what he or she is saying. Inform, the author gives you information about a topic. And then the E would be for entertain. The author tells us a story that we will enjoy. All right. As we look at today, and we look at, I guess I can go forward, one of the things that we want to ask ourselves when we look at anything that we're reading is, what is the author's purpose? And one way to think about that is in a very simplistic or very simple academic sentence frame is, the author's purpose for writing this passage was. You can just come straight out and say it, okay? And that's a good way just to kind of, as we're talking about whatever topic, whatever article, is just to look at it right away, and as you read through it, figure out, okay, why was this being written? And a good way to say that is, the author's purpose for writing this passage was, okay? And at the end of today, what we want you to do is to look back and say, well, the author's purpose for writing this passage was, okay? So today we're going to answer text-dependent comprehension questions, and we're going to evaluate author's purpose, and we're going to find a way that we're going to prove it. So whatever author's purpose is, how would we prove it, okay? So sometimes you need to answer questions about a passage you've read. Some questions require you to determine the author's purpose. Today we're going to read and answer questions. Some of the questions will ask you to evaluate text to discover the author's purpose. So let's look at and this is in your packet. Let's look at question number 2. What is the author's main purpose, okay, in this passage? Okay, and I kind of skipped ahead of myself. We need to read this. So why don't you pause the video and read this, and then when you are done, restart the video. I think it's hilarious. I forgot to have you read that. Okay, so what is the author's main purpose in this passage? Okay, is it A, to entertain readers with an amusing story about bacteria? Because whenever I think of bacteria, I think of fun right away. 2, or B, to inform readers about bacteria and their effects on humans? C, to persuade readers to take fewer antibiotics? Or D, to inform readers about one-celled organisms? So the question is, what is the question asking us to do? Is it asking us to summarize? Is it asking us to look at graphic features? What strategies do we need? Now, hopefully in your head, boys and girls, you're telling us that it's asking us to evaluate author's purpose. And how do we know that? Well, it says so right here. What is the author's main purpose in the passage? Okay? To find the author's purpose, I will have to think about why the author wrote this passage and look for clues that can help me figure out the reason or purpose. I'm going to read this question again carefully to be sure I understand what I need to do. What is the author's main purpose in this passage? Now we're ready to reread the passage to find information we need. In the first paragraph, The author describes what bacteria are and what shapes they have. This part gives me facts about bacteria. Facts give me information. I will read on to see if the author's main purpose is to inform. Paragraphs 2 and 3, okay, tell how bacteria can invade and grow in the body. These paragraphs also give me facts. Next, the passage explains how the human body fights off harmful bacteria naturally and with medicine. And then finally, the author tells us how bacteria change, making it necessary to change antibiotics. So what the author's done is they provide us a number of facts in the passage without giving opinions or feelings about them. Okay? I think that the author's main purpose is to inform readers. Now, two answer choices include the word inform, so I'll review the content of the passage. One sentence, okay, so let me go back here. One is to inform readers about bacteria and their effects on human, and to inform reader about one-celled organisms, okay? One sentence tells the bacteria are one-celled organisms, but the whole passage talks about effects of bacteria inside the human body. Okay, inside the human body is warm and moist, excellent place to grow, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so choice B must be the answer. I had to think like the author to figure out the answer. The answer, to inform readers about the effect of bacteria on the human body, makes sense. So I will choose B. Okay, so let's move on. Next slide.
Bacteria. Bacteria are single-celled organisms. There are three shapes of bacteria: round, rod, and spiral. Some bacteria are harmful to humans. Have you ever had strep throat or an ear infection? If so, bacteria had invaded your body. The inside of a human body is warm and moist, an excellent place for bacteria to grow. Most of the time, your white blood cells are able to kill harmful bacteria in your body. But sometimes, there are too many bacteria to kill. You might have to take antibiotics, medicines that kill bacteria. Some bacteria become resistant to antibiotics. This means the antibiotics can no longer kill the bacteria. Scientists constantly work to find new antibiotics to kill bacteria. Round bacteria. Rod-shaped bacteria. Spiral bacteria.
All right, boys and girls, now that you've read the story once, and now you've heard it once, why don't you take some time and complete the questions of bacteria, comprehensive questions, okay? Or we just take care of that when we're done. We just got one more slide here. Just to review author's purpose. The author's purpose is the author's reason for writing a particular text. The author's purpose may be to persuade, to inform, or to entertain. Remember, we talked about it being easy as pie. Clues to an author's purpose include content, word choice, style, and illustrations. And finally, recognizing an author's purpose helps readers understand why the author did what he or she did in the text. Okay, so that's it. If we understand why the author wrote it, we understand why the author includes certain things, or says different things, or uses different words, and things like that. Okay, so what I want you to do now at the end of the video, I want you to answer the discussion questions for Unit 8, Week 1, Day 4. Okay, and then as we end, just remember that you should practice evaluating the author's purpose. This strategy can help you understand what an author is trying to accomplish and watch for specific kinds of information. It can also help you when you take tests. All right, that's all I got. Hopefully, yeah, everything makes sense, and we'll talk to you again.